So a couple hours prior to uploading this video, I had my first encounter that I can recognize as scripting. Now, this isn't an accusation I throw around lightly. In fact, I've never accused anyone of this, but after playing against this Fiora and going over the replays in slow motion 2 or 3 times, at this point little could really convince me otherwise. Let me break this down by the numbers. Over the course of the game, I threw 24 shivs at her. 10 of these hit. 5 were because her parry was on cooldown. 2 were because she was CC'd at the time. 2 were before she put a point into her parry, and 1 because I was out of sight when I threw the blade. So of all the daggers that she saw me cast while her own parry was castable, 0 landed. And every single one of these parries frame matched the animation of my shiv perfectly, as well as being 100% perfectly aimed at the center of my character model. Here I land my first shiv of the game post level 3, and it's purely because her parry is on cooldown. I don't care how good you are, I don't care if you're faker, I don't care if you're smeb, I do not care. No one can have a 100% success rate on predictive parries down to the frame with 100% angular accuracy. This was the first instance that made me kind of doubt myself about if this was a script, because I threw the dagger at a minion here and she parried admittedly very late. So I think it came down to I had to be targeting her for it to auto parry, and since I wasn't here, it didn't auto parry. And she thought there was a mistake in the script. She tried to compensate for it herself, whether deliberately or reflexively, and ended up parrying for no reason. This is the second incident that made me kind of doubt the scripting somewhat, but it's easily explainable simply because it needs to be registered as the parry when I cast it, not before it lands, and when I cast it, she was still CC'd. Here I tried to fake her out in case it was just predictive. I spammed my dance a little bit, and I autoed a few times before using it, but once again it was a frame perfect parry. This was the third instance that made me doubt if it was really scripting, but she was in the middle of her Hydra active, which is essentially a self-CC. When this happened in game, I actually questioned if there was another script going on because Fiora seemed to magically know where I was even though I was stealthed. And I knew there was no pink in the bush I came from, nor was there a pink in the river bush. However, upon going back to the replay, messing with the fog of war, looking at what they could see, turns out Nunu dropped a pink ward just as I left the bush and it revealed me for a fraction of a second, so Fiora could follow up on that. So it turns out there is no script for this particular occurrence, but it's shortly followed up with that. Here, I was still somewhat in denial about if I was really facing a scripter, although I should have really been certain by this point, and I tried to fake it out again, it didn't work, and although this parry almost missed me, it's solely because she was in the middle of a dash at the time, and the original aim was directly in the middle of my model, but the end result was not quite as such. And then there's the one little trick that I noticed right at the end when it was way too late to use it as a counter around this. The script only parries when it sees you throw the dagger, so if you come out of stealth throwing the dagger, it's not going to have time to react. And I watched this one a few times just to make sure. So on briefly checking the internet for any Fiora scripts that might match this, I found a couple. Very quickly, I'll put them up on the screen and you can see they've both got the options to auto parry and to set it to whatever spell they would like to be auto parried, which does explain why it would be that it was only ever my shivs that were perfectly parried. Additionally, I noticed Searchers in particular has a video up of a Fiora doing exactly the same thing. So obviously I'm not the only person who's been faced with this. Now, I know people are going to say you're just being salty that you lost, and of course that's true to a degree. I mean, wouldn't you be? On the other hand, the enemy team also had a Diana with 25 Medjay stacks who one-shot me for 4 of my deaths of the game, so it's unlikely the Fiora actually made a difference. If by some stupid miracle you're simply the Fiora god Big Carry KK, and your skills are entirely indistinguishable from scripting, I apologise and consider this whole video one big compliment. On the other hand, in the more likely case you are scripting, you're a bit pathetic to cheat at a competitive game and still be in low gold, lower than this salty AP Shaco main.